Okay. And these are students from United States History class, and they're studying about the Second World War. And we thought it would be very helpful for them to have a first-hand account of what went on. So I'm going to start the tape so they can use this tape then. What they're going to do is they're going to take, if you could leave those things, we're going to scan them and give them right back to you. I have
Whatever you want, sure.
Yeah, I have a teacher that's doing that for me. And then they're going to create a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to send the tape to the Military Museum.
Oh,
So I'm going to start this tape so they can
yeah.
use this
So
tape.
I have hearing aids, so don't talk too low or too fast.
And you also speak up so the tape can hear you, okay? Okay. Oh, I got it in backwards. Ugh.
Well,
There we go. Okay, we are at Orchard Park High School. The day is April 12th, 2005. We are interviewing Mr. Steve Schultz, who is a World War II veteran. He is being interviewed by
Kristen Lukasiak.
Alex Sargent.
Ryan Lehman.
Lauren Sirianni.
who are students at Orchard Park High School. Okay, guys, you have a great time, and you only have about 45 minutes. I'm going to come back at the end of the period to take your picture with Mr. Schultz. So if the bell rings, don't leave, okay? I'll write you passes. Okay? Have a great time.
okay.
Okay, so why did you join in the first place?
Well, it was a war on, and Germany and Japan were causing trouble, so I enlisted.
So you did enlist, you weren't drafted?
No, I enlisted because I didn't want to go in the Army.
Okay.
I was an aircraft mechanic, learning to be. That's what I signed up for. I didn't end up with that, though.
Okay.
Where were you stationed during the war?
Oh, my God. You mean first? I mean, I was
Just
in
a
about
few.
19 places, you know.
I mean, just a few major places would be.
Well, I went into Yaphank, Long Island, Camp Upton. Then I took basic in Biloxi, Mississippi, and Keesler Field. Gunnery training at Las Vegas. And let's see. Then I took or B-17 training at in Tennessee, in Murfreesboro. Then we went overseas in England, Peterborough, and then I came back and took 29 training because Germany quit and we were going to train to go against Japan. So I took from 17s, I learned how to be a gunner on 29s. And fortunately, they quit too. Then I went home.
What were your jobs during the war?
I was a tail gunner on a B-17 bomber.
Okay.
That's not what we were in mechanics class, like I signed up for it. They promised me that. So watch them promises. And all of a sudden, the whole class you were now going to be gunners. And that was it. They didn't ask you. They told you. And I was shipped to Las Vegas and became an aerial gunner.
Do you recall your training or boot camp days, or training to be a gunner, or just throughout your training?
About it?
Yeah. Any experiences, stories?
Well, to be in an aircraft, you had to be in very good condition physically. They check you very good. Then they even fly you up and find out if you. Some guys just failed right there because they're drone up all over the place. They quit. They weren't. They don't like airplanes. And we went through high altitude chambers to see if you can go into high altitudes, and that you don't just pass out for some stupid reason or something like that. So you did all that, and then of course you had to go through gunnery training. And the machine guns they look complicated, but actually you could take them apart and put them together blindfolded. That's what they taught you how to do. You could take them all apart, just by feel, and then put the thing to get back together and make it work.
Was it frustrating, like learning how to do that with the machine guns, like just training to do that at the first, or was it?
What kind of a training?
Or just like the work with the machine guns to take it apart, as you said. Was it frustrating at first to try?
Oh, yeah. But, well, because I was mechanically inclined, I guess it wasn't that hard, though. You just went through it step by step, and before you knew it, you could do it. Yeah.
Okay, so did you see any combat or anything?
No. We went over, and we were like a backup. And because then my division squad, they lost a lot of people. And we were supposed to, but they must have known the war was near the end, because they didn't send us. But for months and months, we weren't losing anybody at that time, and we never went up, except for practice runs, because at that time they were having hundreds of planes, mass strategic bombing, where you'd get up over England and circle for a couple hours to get you all a formation, even 500 planes, and then go over all at once and then drop the bombs and come back. So, but you had to we practiced that and stuff like that. Then after when Germany quit, we went over to get some prisoners that were our guys. We bring them back from. We were flying them one after another, plane loads, liberating our guys. Patton and them went right through, you know. And they freed them, and so they had to get them home as quick as they could. And that's about it for that.
Did you have any friends like wounded or killed in action?
No, not because we really didn't get to know the other crews that much. All our new group was all together, and the old groups are like, you know, like old veterans. You know, they didn't even want to associate with us. We were rookies, you know. So you met some of them, but you never got to know them. But they were doing good. They had a good group, I'm sure, from what they kept telling us. And they hit whole place like I think Strasbourg and Regensburg and the Bremen. They were hitting them every day.
Okay, what did you do, like, in your off time, like, when you weren't practicing, or what did you do to entertain yourself?
You mean in the camp, where
Yeah.
we were? Yeah. There wasn't much to do. You played cards. There wasn't much entertainment except movies. Go to the day room, shoot some pool, and stuff like that. You know, there wasn't. You could shoot basketball, play baseball, softball, or something like that. But there wasn't much.
Did you
And
have?
they didn't let you go into town once in a blue moon. Yeah.
You always see like entertainers coming over. Did you have any entertainers or anything come?
Not while I was there, no. I didn't. I don't remember seeing, except on the TV or whatever. Not the TV, but they had like movies, you know, about the entertainers over there. But I didn't see any. Yeah.
While you were in service, like, what was your most memorable experience while you were in the service?
I don't know.
Well, a few of them.
Shouldn't have to be the one most. Just a few memorable moments.
Well, we were in training flights. You would go on like a 5 or 8 hour training flight in the United States. Well, one point to another point, back to your base, and like you were going on a mission. And we got over Coffeyville, Kansas, and we lost an engine. And then we lost another engine. And then the pilot was putting it up to the crew that we might not make it down. He says, what do you want to do? Stay with the plane, he's going to try to bring it in, or jump out? And I'm in the tail, and that's the first place they ask first, the tail gunner, then they work up to the plane, what they're going to do. So he asked me, and I said, are you going to stay with it, Mabe? He says, yeah. I looked out my door up there, and I couldn't see nothing. It was night. I said, I'm not jumping, I'm staying with you. So we landed. He brought it in, it bounced all over the place, but he brought it in with 2 engines. And with a 17, it's a clumsy thing, you know. It was tough to control. It don't glide, it just plump, you know. It's just too heavy to glide. Something like that, I guess would be the, but just the number of people you meet, guys, you know, all over, and officers and instructors, and there are some wonderful people you can meet, and some not so wonderful. They were tough, but most of them were nice people to meet.
Do you keep in touch with any of your friends that you made?
No, not lately. Well, a number of them died that I was keeping in touch to. So that's like here. Most of my friends is dying because I'm 79 now. So not much anymore at all. Yeah.
How old were you when you enlisted?
I can't hear you.
How old were you when you enlisted in the Air?
I was 17.
17.
Yeah, I was a Civil Air Patrol cadet at first, and then I took 2 years of aircraft mechanics and stuff, and that's why I thought I could be an aircraft mechanic. I never got into that.
Do you recall where you were when the war ended, or the day you went there? I mean, when you found
Well, I was in England when Germany quit. Yeah. Then we flew our airplane. We hit Wales, and then we went to Iceland. Spent a couple of days there. Then we flew to Goose Bay, Labrador, and then down to Massachusetts, and then down to, we got there, and then they reassigned us places. Labrador, we just about made. That's another incident too. From Iceland to Labrador, took us 11 hours, and we were battling headwinds, and we were pretty close to running out of fuel. And he was telling us about the ditching in that North Atlantic, and they said, "You 30 minutes, you're gone. So you better get out of the water as fast as you could." So that was interesting too.
How did the service affect your life, like today and when you were in it?
Well, I don't know. You grow up a little bit, I guess. And it was nice, the GI Bill, because my parents had no money, and I wasn't thinking of going to any kind of
School?
college or anything like that. So the GI Bill came in, and at that time, television was starting to come in. And so I thought that would be a good field to learn. So I went, there was only 2 places, New York and Chicago, that had schools. So I chose Chicago, and I went to TV school there for 2 years on the GI Bill.
What is some of the stuff you brought, like pictures? Like, what are some of the
Well, this is the Lackawanna Memorial for the guys that are from Lackawanna that are in the service. And me and my 2 brothers and stuff are writing on here. And that's us 3 here. No, he just died, and he died a while ago. Charlie and Pete.
So did you?
They were both in the Battle of the Bulge. It was 17 paratroopers. And it's a wonder they got out of that alive. Because every day they were fighting with knee-deep snow. And they got frostbite and wounded and everything else.
Yeah. Did you enlist with them, or did they enlist at
No,
different
they were
times?
older, so
Oh, okay.
they were drafted.
Okay.
They had no choice on where they wanted to go either. Yeah. That's why I enlisted. So I says, I'll go for the Air Force.
Did you join any like organizations like the VFW Post or anything?
No, I never got into that. I had so many other things going on that I didn't want to get involved with them too. Because they always want to do some ceremonies and things like that, and then I wasn't into that, and I was doing other things, so I never joined them. But it would have been probably normal. I should have probably, yeah.
What are these pictures of?
There were some of my group hit these places. I think one was, this one I think was Regensburg. This was, you can't pronounce it, Lewisburg or something like that.
Well, you didn't really see service, so I'm guessing you didn't get any medals or.
No, just the campaign medals,
Yeah.
because you were in England where the war was. So you got ETO, European campaign medals, good conduct medals, aerial gunner medals, but I don't know where they are. That's 60 years ago. I didn't keep them. I don't know what happened. I must have had them someplace, but maybe my mother had them, and I don't know where they are now. The only one I have, I found it, my aerial gunner medal. My wings.
No, how did you get these? Were you just like?
Well, when you finish the
when
aerial
you
gunnery
finished-
school, yeah.
So you were presented
Oh,
with
yeah.
them?
Oh, and before you go overseas, they increase you to sergeant.
So you were a
Everybody
sergeant?
became a sergeant that was not an officer. Because if you're taken prisoner by the Germans, a sergeant was treated much better, more respect. They thought so much more of a sergeant than they did of a private. So, well, you were actually probably deserved to be, from all the training you got too, to become a sergeant in time. But they automatically made you before you went overseas. So that if you became a prisoner, you were better off.
Okay. What are some of the papers that you brought with you?
Oh, my discharge papers, got all that information. Oh, this is just from the Lackawanna, the Veteran Monuments thing. Oh, yeah, I enlisted like in before Christmas, in November or something like that, when I was 17. And they also promised that we would not be taken in until I graduated in '44. Well, it didn't happen. In April, before I graduated, they pulled us all in. So I got a war diploma that by my grades up to that point, they awarded you a high school diploma. So, yeah.
What was when you were stationed overseas? What were the living conditions and the food like when you were over there?
It was kind of primitive. We lived in Quonset huts, those, and like 50 and 20 people in a hut. And you had outside latrines, bathrooms, and showers. It was usually cold and muddy. The food wasn't too bad but not. We had some worse food over here in the United States than we did over there. But I guess that was the way it should be. Yeah. But it was kind of sparse. They didn't give you too much, you know. Just sit and be quiet. That's what they told you to do.
What did you do on leave?
On leave? No, just come home and see your friends, you know, and your family. Or if I had leaves and some places, like in England, I went to London and took a tour bus and all that junk, and I hit some pubs because I wanted to see English pubs. They don't have cold beer. They have kegs sitting up there above over the thing, and hot beer, warm beer, and you have light and dark, you know, and strong. I don't know. It's quite a difference from our taverns, you know. They more like had a almost every night gathering. They must have had some drunks too, but mostly people were just there to have fun, and that's good. That was always nice, and they always were decorated in different ways. You know, not just a bar and tables. You know, it was cute. But the monuments, Lord Nelson and all that kind of stuff I saw, and the double-decker buses, and you ride them around town. That was nice. Peterborough, it was a nice little town. It had a beautiful cathedral there. It was real beautiful cathedral. But I never got down there even. They wouldn't let us go in maybe about twice. They just didn't let you go out too much because you were always on call. They didn't know when they were going to call you, so they didn't want to let you go running around someplace. And if you were missing, your crew couldn't go because you had to have everybody in their positions before they went.
Okay, what is this?
A little diary that I made up. That includes, you know, where I was, where some of my buddies in service, and then I try to put down where I went, you know, each date and what I did, and some of the people I met there, and my officers and stuff, and my crews there and back here someplace too, you know, the crew members and up. So it was like a diary, yeah. And surprising what I don't know if you want to look at. Yeah.
Did you have to buy that, or was that issued to you? 'Cause,
Huh?
Did you have to buy that book, or did the government
I think
issue
I
it?
bought that someplace, one of the bases, probably in the PX. They had that. Even today, I can't write too good. Chicken feed, or scratching, what do they call it?
Is this you?
Yeah, that's me. And this is me too here.
So were you only 17 when you went overseas
I can't hear you.
too? Were you only 17 when you went overseas?
Oh,
Overseas.
no, I was, in December I became 18. And then they took me in April. So I was 18 years old by then. I guess that's why they free to grab you and take you in once you became 18, because they didn't take you if you were 17.
Did you you went to like boot camp and training camp, right?
Oh, yeah.
Was it hard to endure? Was it?
Yeah, some of it was. Some of it was. That was in Biloxi, Mississippi, and we took that. And it was hot and muggy, and every bunk had the mosquito net around it. And if you slept with your arm against that mosquito net, it was bit up all over the place. So it was, sometimes you were so tired that that's the way you slept, and you get bit. But you couldn't sleep without a net over you, man, in Mississippi.
Did you write letters or keep in touch with your family while you were overseas?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And that's when because I'm Croatian, and I tried to write back to Mom in Croatian, and I never did that before. I never wrote anything. So I was writing it by memory, how it's, what do you say, how it sounds. And today, if I read some of those letters, when I know a lot more about Croatian, I wrote a lot of things wrong. But if you phonetically say it, it came out right. Like, ja sam tu, I am here, or, and I'm well and stuff like. But the way I wrote it in Croatian, it wasn't good Croatian. But she read them all.
Do you remember some of your instructors at boot camp?
Not really. You had so many of them, and I read some of them in there, and I don't recollect them at all. Also, it's over 60 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and you never think about it, so you don't remember it.
Were you nervous at all when you went overseas? Were you?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. You don't know what to expect. We went over. We didn't fly over. We went on a 5,000 troop ship in a convoy in the North Atlantic, and it was rough. Even our big boat was going up now, and the destroyer escorts, they look like corks down. We were up here and they did that little thing down, and they would go under the water and come up. It was really, I was wondering how those stupid people would surviving down there. But then we dropped off a whole lot of troops in France, infantry, I guess, and stuff. And then we went back to Southampton, England. And then they trained us up to the Peterborough. But it was, you never knew what to expect, yeah. There was no bombing going on at that time. I guess Germany was pretty well subdued. So they didn't have no bombing coming over. There might have been some, but I didn't hear about it.
Did any of you people you were with have a extreme hate almost for the Germans or the Japanese? There was the dislike, but did a lot of them
No, I don't think so.
or they were just in the war to support their country?
Well, even like myself, I didn't have the hate for them. A lot of people thought I was German because I'm Schultz. But it's not. My grandfather, a Bohemian, Czech, and it's really spelled S-U-L-C, Schultz. And my father was born in Yugoslavia. He must have went there. But they didn't hate the Germans that as a person, What Hitler and his gang were doing, yes. And they hated that, and they wanted to stop it. But the people themselves, you treat them, you thought about them as people, I think. I never saw anybody that was really crazy about he wants to kill them all or something. Nah. I was probably afraid to get killed himself.
Can you describe an average day in the service overseas? What you did?
Whoa. Well, you could take one day like KP, and that would consist of just cutting up potatoes all day long. No, I don't. Normally, you get up real early. They get you up real early, and you wash up and shave and all that, whatever you had to do. And then you had breakfast, and then you go to the physical training. They always had PT recs, even when you're through. And then you might go to drill exercises, or you might go to some orientation, something that they want to tell you about. And mostly it was all training exercises. And then at night was very quiet. The lights out was at 9 o'clock. And even if it was daylight out, they didn't care. But that was it. 9 o'clock, they want you in bed. I thought that was stupid. I never went to bed at 9 o'clock. But usually they got you so tired you did go to sleep. You didn't have to worry about that. That's what, I guess, what was their main job, is to get you tired.
Okay. Are these yearbooks?
Oh, this is the planes that I was on, the B-17. You know, and I'm back here in a tail.
What would you do in the tail? What was your duty?
There's 2 guns, 50
Okay.
caliber machine guns back there. I'm protecting the tail, because he can't see what's coming this way. I only watch what's coming this way.
Right, okay.
And that's my job, and let them know if there's somebody coming, and the waist gunners can maybe get a shot at them too, and stuff like that. So this, to get back there, you had to crawl back, you know, it's only just so big, so you crawl back there, and you sit like on a bicycle seat with your feet underneath you. And you got windows all around you. Yeah. We didn't have no heat. It's just you got those leather fur-lined flight suits and boots and hat, and that was what kept you warm up there. Because once you get up over 10,000 feet, it gets cold. It goes about 25, 30 below zero. And then you got to have an oxygen mask on too. As soon as you get up over 10,000 something, they want you to have oxygen mask on. Then you would sweat because you got all that sun coming in there, and you got all that equipment on. Ice would form always. You get all ice for every day from your sweating under all that equipment. In fact, I used to fall asleep back there from the sun. That was, they had to call me a couple of times before I'd wake up.
Now, which plane was easier to like work in? Which of the two?
The 29 had more room, yeah. This was kind of crowded with 10 men in it. So
there was 10 men just in the tail?
No.
no, the crew. You know,
Oh.
Bombardier, navigator, radio man, pilot and co-pilots up there, armor, 2 waist gunners. You know, so they're all over the plane. Yeah, each one has its own place. These things, when you start these things up, your job was to prime the engines, and then you got to turn these things by hand, the propellers. You give it a shove about 3 times, then he switch on and he starts it up. Then you go to the next one. You know, so you had to prime them by hand. But they were nice. Then in 29s, they had the guy that was this guy up in here. He would have central fire control. He could manage all the guns in the front, all from like you do with a computer. You know, he can spot a plane up there, and he can direct all the guns that can reach him. That one man can be central fire control on that one object. Yeah, I was a waist gunner and a blister on the side. I had some training on central fire control too. In case he got shot, you had to have somebody else know how to run those things too. It's possible. So I was second on central fire control. That was neat. But at least they didn't put me in the tail. They had 20 millimeter cannons back there. I had 50 caliber guns, but they had 20. That's a big monster.
Like you said, would you take the long, like 11-hour trips or whatever in the back and the tail, or how long was the?
Yes,
Yeah.
I had to stay in my position.
So what would you do for like food or stuff when you were back there?
Oh, then I would come back up
Okay.
in the waist section. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. You couldn't sit there for 11 hours anyway. Sometimes I'd get way back and stretch my legs out or whatever. Yeah, that normally usually you go only between 5 and 7 hours on any training missions was usually about good 5-hour missions usually. Then you could go, say, 1,200 miles and back and forth, yeah. Because they weren't fast. If you go 200 miles an hour, he had to do that. He had to put his nose down and go with a 17, and then the whole plane shook. It wasn't made to go fast.
Was it scary, your first experiences in the planes doing?
Not scary. I was actually thrilled more or less by because I liked their. I was in planes before, and that's what I wanted to do. So it was more like a thrill than it was scary. I wasn't scared at all. I don't think. My pilot, he was an older fellow, one of the oldest guys that was a pilot. And I asked him why he was a tank commander for General Patton. He drove Patton's tank. Then he said he wanted to go to pilot training. He became a pilot. And he had to be about, well, we thought he was old. He must have been about 35. But he looked like an older, like your father would look, older. But he was an excellent man. He was brilliant, good pilot. But it was always amazing that he was a tank commander.
The bell has rung. His time is up. If I could have you guys pictures with Mr. Schultz.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Mr. Schultz, you'd be willing to leave that stuff and I'll give
Yeah,
it back to
sure.
you then? Okay.
Yeah, somehow.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're going to be here on May the 24th.
Oh, we can pick it up then, eh?
Oh, sit down. You sit. Sit.
Oh, me sit.
Yes. Let's get it way in. Way in. Okay. Way in. That's great. One more. Perfect.
Okay,
Great.
Thank you very much.
all right, you're welcome. Thank you. Right, thanks.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, guys. Nobody needs to pass. I think you'll be on time, right? Good.
So